Good morning, dear students. In previous class, we started with the last lesson and we did it, you know, till M. Hamel explains the importance of, the French language to these villagers as well as his students. And he said the most beautiful, clearest, and the logical language, but we must guard it amongst us and never forget it. We were on this point that when he says that this is the most beautiful language and we must all guard our language amongst us, because when people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison, right? So if you hold to your language, you have the key to your, prison. If you are, and here these have been actually captivated and imprisoned by the Prussians, Germans. And let me share the screen with you, right? Okay. Please take out page number 7. Okay. Let's see. And he also explained before this that your parents were not too anxious enough to have you learn. I'm on page number 5, last paragraph. Dear students, kindly pay attention that I cannot blame you also. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. They preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills. And he says, I too must be blamed. I have sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons. And when I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? So M. Hamel was in habit of giving them a holiday whenever he wanted to go for fishing, right? So many factors have worked behind their disinterest or their laziness or their slackness in giving importance and significance and learning their studies and language that were the part of the village school, right? And then he opened, I'm on page number now 7, you can see on the screen the first paragraph. Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it, and today I understood my lesson very nicely. All he said all he said seemed so easy, because now you have understood the importance. Very important thing, dear students. Once you know the importance, you do the things. Because you did not know the importance, you didn't find them interesting to do. Once you understand that why I'm studying this, all of a sudden your interest is generated. All he said seems so easy. I think I'm audible, dear students.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, and I was amazed to see how well I understood it. I had never listened so carefully. Now comes the point that he was very careful and I too was very careful, as this was the last lesson, right? It seemed almost as if poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away and to put it all into our heads at one stroke. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing. That day, M. Hamel had new copies for us, written in beautiful round hand, France Alsace, France Alsace. They looked like little flags floating everywhere in the schoolroom. He distributed them beautiful notebooks where it was written, right? France Alsace and all. You ought to have seen how everyone set to work, how much interested they were, because it was the last lesson. And they were also now anxious that their master would not be serving them now, right? The only sound was, now there was a lot of silence in the class, and how quiet the class was. How quiet it was. You can underline this line. There's a question behind this, that why that day the class was quite silent or very quiet that day. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper. Once some beetles flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them. Not even the littlest ones who worked right on tracing their fish hooks as if that was French too. On the roof, the pigeons cooed very low. And I want you to underline these lines, dear students. On the roof, the pigeons cooed very low. And I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? Now, what does the writer, the author mean by this? Will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? Now, there were few pigeons cooing in a natural way. As creatures, birds, they have their own habits, right? So here the pigeons were making some sounds. Now, this boy, a student of M. Hamel, our little friends, thought that will they teach them in German too? The pigeons, their cooing can be converted into German language. No, not at all. The meaning here, the symbolic, meaning here is, or the significance of these lines here is that as they cannot teach these pigeons, the German pigeons will coo in their natural way, whether they belong to any place. It will be their natural way. Similarly, our way was French. You cannot forcibly teach us. This was a satirical line and a mocking on German people, that will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? As they cannot make the pigeons sing in German and do their cooing in German, similarly, they cannot force us to learn German in place of French. This was his inside determination, which has come up in the form of satirical sentence. Will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? And there is a question mark. When I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and gazing first at one thing and then at another. This means he was captivating something in his mind. What is he trying to captivate, dear students? He's trying to captivate whatever he has spent time with, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little schoolroom. Fancy. For 40 years, he had been there in the same place, with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him. So, for 40 years, he has been serving his, school. Now, only the desk and the benches had been worn smooth. What changes have taken place in these or occurred in these 40 years? The desks and benches had been worn smooth because of the usage. The walnut trees in the garden were taller now, which he might have grown few years or many years back. And the hopvine that he had planted himself twined about the windows, right? Twined about the windows of to the roof. How it must have broken his heart to leave it all, poor man, to hear his sister moving about in the room, and how he might have felt. And the next connection to this is, poor man and his sister was moving about in the room above. Upstairs, she was packing the trunks. Their packings were going on, and she was, doing the things. So that those sounds were coming down, for they must leave the next day. They had to leave the next day. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. This is the conclusion part of the lesson, dear students. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and then the babies chanted their ba, bi, bi, and this all part. What is this part, children? The basic alphabets that are taught to children. So this might be their French language beginning. Down there at the back of the room, old Hauser had put on his spectacles at the back of the room, and he was sitting there holding his primer in both hands, spelled the letters with them. You could see that he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion. He was crying. And for M. Hamel, it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. Now, old person from the village whose name is this Hauser was crying. Why was he crying? Because he had not only understood the importance of French lesson, but this was the last lesson, and their beloved teacher, whom they did not take care or did not listen to him, is leaving. And how well I remember the last lesson, right? All at once, the church clock struck 12. Then the Angelus. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussians returning from drill sounded under our windows. The sounds from the church came, and they could hear. M. Hamel stood up very pale in his chair, very pale and dull and lifeless like figure. He's standing. I never saw him look so tall. My friend, said he, and he could not speak, and he left the sentence there. But something choked him. He could not go on. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his strength and might, he wrote as large as he could, Vive la France. What does this means? Long live France, right? So blessings for France. And then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word he made a gesture to us with his hand. School is dismissed, you may go. Right? Now, dear students, have you all understood here? He is going, and it is the last lesson. The first lesson in our book is last lesson, which talks of, you know, significance of language learning, one's own culture, tradition, and especially language to keep yourself, alive. Keep your community, keep your culture, and overall keep yourself, or sustaining yourself. Then moreover, importance of studying. And then the sub theme is also, or you can say, two three themes can be combined together, that how a country is treated when it has been controlled by some other country or nation, right? Captivated by someone else or some other country, how they are being treated, right? Or how we, you know, treat, we see how the nations have been treated when they have been captivated, right? So this way, now when we see the small questions, dear children, the people in the story suddenly realize how precious their language is to them. What shows you this? Why does this happen? Now, very simply, please turn your minds and or think for a second, and let's realize or let's understand, the people in this story suddenly realize how precious their language is to them. Why did this happen? How did this happen? When they came to know an order has come from Berlin on that particular bulletin board that now German would be taught, and they have been captivated by Germans. So this made them all of a sudden that they have become sincere and developed a seriousness. They've understood the depth and gravity of learning their own language. Why does this happen? Right? So you can answer these questions. Then France thinks, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? What could this mean? Just now I explained you while moving through the lesson that as they cannot teach these pigeons change their way of cooing, similarly they cannot change us. Forcibly they cannot make us learn the German language, right? It is their, it is his patriotism, right? So, dear students, I hope you have understood this lesson nicely, that how M. Hamel and Little France, through these people and few minor characters, one or two, the old people who are sitting in the classroom trying to learn, we have understood that how important is language learning and mother tongue, and even the national language, right? So we are a diverse nation. India is full of diversity, brims with diversity. So we also understand this thing very nicely. Now, when I move on to the next question, wait. Just a minute. When a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. Let us talk about this, that you can hold yourself, I said your culture, your traditions, when you have your language, because you share with your, how you pass on your things from one generation to another, that language plays a big role, right? That day also we discussed what type of, there's a line in the lesson that what type of French you will be called when you do not know French language. This was the line, these were the lines in the lesson too. Can you think of some examples in history where a conquered people had their language taken away from them or had a language imposed on them? One is this, which we have read one example, and we can search more to find out, right? What happens to a linguistic minority in a state? How do you think they can keep their language alive? For example, Punjabis in Bangalore, Tamilians in Mumbai, Kannadigas in Delhi, and Gujaratis in Kolkata, right? They have to teach their youngsters their languages, right? To sustain themselves. Is it possible to carry pride in one's language too far? Do you know what is linguistic chauvinism means? What linguistic chauvinism means? Let me explain you the meaning of this, right? Linguistic chauvinism means when you think that your language is better than all others. When you have, you know, when you can say, when a person thinks that I am better, I'm superior than you. If you have heard of a term, this the chauvinist means you take yourself as you know, self-centered. Like you are important, your things are important. Say for male chauvinism, suppose if male members start thinking that no, they think also, they call it also male chauvinist, he's a chauvinist, this is male chauvinism and nothing else. So the chauvinist, let me explain you with this, that when you think I am superior, you are a woman, so you are not, I'm the superior one than you. You do this because you are a woman or you are a girl. So this, when it comes like this, it is male chauvinism. When you come to linguistic chauvinism, it says that my language is better than yours. So Germans here have shown this chauvinism. It's not love for your language. It's that superiority, that pride. We can't call pride also. You feel that you are the best and no one else is to be there to hold that position. I hope you have understood, dear students. We'll
Yes, ma'am.
very good. We'll continue the lesson, the next lesson, that is Lost Springs or Lost Spring, sorry. That lesson number 2. And we'll do some questions, extra questions from this also, and some multiple choice questions also, right? So we'll do that, and we'll continue, right? God bless you all. Thank you. Let me take the attendance also.